And I just want to say something about Giannis real quick, adding his jump shot, maybe a hot take. I don't know. I think if he adds a jump, like a real 3-point shot where he's like a true threat from there, I think we might be talking about a player that's going to have the highest peak of any player in NBA history in terms of skill, more than Jordan. I'm not going to say he's the greatest of all time. He doesn't have the accolades. But in terms of skill and peak, like what can you do to stop him? He's going to get you defensively. If he can knock down like a 3-point shot, he could shoot down a mid-range. He's starting to make his free throws. He's dominant on the inside. What is the flaw in his game if he adds that? He's even not a bad passer. He has the ability, if he needs to kick it out to somebody.
Is there a path in which Steph Curry can get to the top 5 greatest of all time?
In my opinion, Domantas Sabonis kind of overrated.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Just like in the caption, we are back. We took a little brief sabbatical, we'll call it, for the NBA to sort of settle in. I know all three of us, had a difficult time lining up our schedules, but we're here, deep from 3, here for another episode of the new season. I'm here, Devin Withers, alongside Isaiah Hansen, Gary Sunnyberger. Isaiah, you're already ready to jump on it. What can we do for you already?
We know why it's been a sabbatical, Devin. You've been waiting for the Lakers to turn it around a little bit, and it just hasn't happened. Yeah. But it's so good. I feel like I just got home from like a long vacation. It's good to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. Gary, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I've actually, fun fact, you guys both didn't know this. I am Steve Nash. So I was just fired from my job as the Brooklyn Nets head coach. So I could actually do the podcast now. So appreciate everybody for my tenure at Brooklyn. The whole organization, lovely. Have nothing bad to say about them. But here I am, Steve Nash, now known as Gary Sunnyberger, James Wiseman Truther. But right. Yes, here I am. I'm glad to be back.
Okay. Yeah. If you're Steve Nash, congratulations on getting fired and ridding yourself of all that stress, dude.
Thank you. You should have seen the check they handed me.
Well, listen, guys, we've got a great show packed in, and you don't want to miss the rest of the night because following our show at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Jake Davis, we were just talking about the NL Cy Young Award with the unanimous win for the Miami Marlins, Sandy Alcantara. But we're here for the 7 p.m. slot for Deep from 3, so we've got a lot to get to. The Los Angeles Lakers obviously had a slow start to their season so far. We're going to be talking about the Brooklyn Nets, what the hell is going on over there, and then wrapping up with some early season surprises from all three of us. What are we surprised by? That can be taken a number of ways, but let's start with the Los Angeles Lakers. Guys, it seems like you just clipped the episode we had a few weeks back, how I said the Lakers were back, we were making the playoffs. I'll tell you what, I'm not calling it quits yet, but Isaiah, what is going on with the Lakers? Just talk to me through this 3-10 start that they've had so far, and do you see them turning it around?
In fact, if I was to pick something that I'm not so that I am surprised about, I'm surprised that they got 2 wins because this team was doomed from the start. I mean, and it's nothing to do, and I'm not trying to come down on you, Dev. I'm not trying to come down on you as a Lakers fan, but I truly mean this. Not one at least average shooter, although Austin Reeves has had his moments. In fact, like Russell Westbrook is up there, probably one of your top 3-point shooters right now. And by the way, he was overhated from the start. I said it last year. I'm going to say it this year. It's not that man's fault. It never was his fault. He was asked to go into a situation that you knew more or less how it was going to turn out. Now, I did hope that Anthony Davis and LeBron James could kind of figure it out and they could mesh together. Right now, the Lakers are playing the best basketball that they're going to play for the rest of the season. This is it. This is the ceiling. And it's sad because you're wasting LeBron James's last couple of years, and I want to see him in a playoff atmosphere. I want the Lakers to be somewhere in the playoffs with everybody else. So I take no joy in saying this. Maybe it's the curse of not signing Carmelo Anthony, but to be honest, I can't even say that because last year it was the same thing regardless. But it's obvious. It's right in front of our faces. They can't shoot. And I not only that, I watch a lot of these games. Like, if you're the Lakers, you cannot waste a single possession. If you cannot shoot the 3, you got to make the most of every possession. And you see too many moments. Patrick Beverley's great defensively, but I've seen the games that I've watched. I've seen these like lazy force plays, and I understand there's forced 3-point shots because that's what the defense on the other side is setting up. They want them to shoot threes, but there's just too many unexcusable plays. And you cannot do that. You have to be like, for the Lakers to be successful this season, to even get to a playoff run, you're asking for like an unrealistic, like efficient, like 95% of the time, because you cannot afford to give up any points. So defensively, they're good. There's some hope for the future, but not LeBron James' future, and that's very sad.
And Gary, Isaiah puts in a few good points, a few points that I'm going to disagree with in just a moment. But what are your takes on this? Because I need to remind you guys that in January of this past year, the Boston Celtics, they were the 11th seed. They had a sub 500 record. They ended up making the NBA Finals. So call me crazy, but that's just one of the many reasons why I'm not calling it quits yet. Gary, is there any light at the end of this tunnel for the Los Angeles Lakers?
Well, there is the trade deadline. There are the picks that they have in 2027 and 2029. But let's be real honest with ourselves, Devin. This team, I mean, we don't have LeBron James to put on this team right now due to injury. So you have to, tamper your expectations a little bit in that regard. But this team is shooting 30% from three this season. That's the worst in the league. They have the worst offensive rating in the league. Yes, they're pretty decent on defense. Darvin Ham has gotten the guys to actually play like rotational minutes on that end of the court. Russell Westbrook is Russell Westbrook. He's actually doing really good off the bench this last couple of games. His odds in Vegas for 6th man of the year candidate went up a little bit in the last couple of weeks. So, some positives around the board, but honestly, the fact that we're talking about the Lakers 13 games in where they legitimately are in the conversation to have the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft, but wait, they don't own that pick. It goes to the New Orleans Pelicans, who might, if the Lakers decide, well, Anthony Davis is hurt, LeBron James isn't coming back at his full health, maybe it's the best idea if we just take it in this year, wait for our guys to get healthy, maybe make a trade down the line. Or maybe we wait until the trade deadline. But every moment that you wait, that little hint of maybe the Pelicans get Victor Wembanyama or something crazy like that happens. Right now, what I see from
I think
Gary, you
you're
muted yourself there.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if it was my Wi-Fi, which was possible.
There we go.
No. The brass from Los Angeles, Jeannie Buss, came down like God herself and muted my laptop. She needed to silence the critics, because at the same time that I'm sitting here, you see all the disrespect that the Lakers are getting on ESPN and TNT, and Charles Barkley is joking on them, and it's sad because the NBA is better when the Lakers are good, and the NBA is better when LeBron James is on a winning team. But it's not happening right now. But I'm curious, Devin, as a number 1 Lakers fan in this podcast and in this company, and Russell Westbrook fan, as we can all plainly see, what do you see from this team that you might disagree with me and Isaiah on here?
All right. The Los Angeles Lakers, the team that I said at the beginning of the season. That's right, Lakers therapy session. Not featuring me, starring me.
Starring.
They lost the first 5 games of the season, but look at the strength of schedule that they had during those 5 games. Gary is 100% right. The NBA is better when the Los Angeles Lakers are good, and the NBA cannot help but put the Lakers in the spotlight, whether it be at home or away. Their first 5 games included road matchups to start the season against the NBA championship Golden State Warriors. In what world, if we're just taking away titles of teams and all you can see are records, why are the Los Angeles Lakers being thrown into the fire already? It's because of the star power of LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, and company. But at the same time, they were not in a position last year to then go into this year and say, oh, we can take on the defending champs on the road as well in the state of California at the Bay. They also had road matchups against the Denver Nuggets, the Minnesota Timberwolves, who on paper we've talked about all offseason since that Rudy Gobert trade, are a powerhouse or will be a powerhouse in the Western Conference. Those are just the road matchups for the first 5 games. They also had to play against the Clippers, a known rival in the Battle of LA. And then they also had to play the Portland Trailblazers in what should have been an easy win. But the Portland Trailblazers are now the number 1 team in the Western Conference. Are you kidding me? It could not be a worse opening 5 games for the Lakers just based on circumstance. There's just nothing you can do about that. But this is the reason I'm not quitting, is because Darvin Ham made a spectacular move by moving Russell Westbrook to the starting lineup to the 6th-man role, because this is going to be a 2-man race for the 6th-man award. It's going to be Russell Westbrook in first place, and it's going to be Jordan Poole in second place. That is how the top 2 is going to finish. So let me say this. Russell Westbrook leads all bench players in the NBA so far in scoring with 18.3 points per game and assists with 8.1. The all-time NBA leader for a bench player in assists for a single season was John Stockton during the 1986-87 season, and he finished with 8.0. So right now you could argue that Russell Westbrook might be the best passing bench player in NBA history at this rate.
So, oh my good, 13 games in, my friend. 13 games in.
Hold on. This is a therapy session. Hold on.
That's fair. Second. Sorry.
I said before,
I'll let you get your rocks off. I get it.
Boston Celtics had a tremendously bad start to their season last season. They were the 11th seed in the Eastern Conference, ended up turning things around after the NBA trade deadline, went something like 33-10 towards the end of the season, and ended up making the NBA Finals. Although not winning the title, it was an impressive turnaround. So in this league, you cannot write anybody off. The Los Angeles Lakers are going to have a little bit of a turnaround in their next 5 games. They have 3 matchups against the Spurs, who are clearly not playing to contend this season. And they also have their next game, which is a home contest against the Pistons. Put all of your money on that game. The Los Angeles Lakers going to wipe the floor with Cade Cunningham and company. That's my
you know what? I love the enthusiasm, man.
Go
for it.
I'll let you dissect him, because we know like his arguments like all over the place, right? But I almost don't want to, because at least I'm seeing some Russell Westbrook praise after all the slander that he received the last season. You wanted to trade him for John Wall once upon a time, and now you might not even take Kyle Lowry for him. So
I wouldn't take Kyle. I would rather have Russell Westbrook than Kyle Lowry.
I would rather have Russell Westbrook than Kyle Lowry. Good Lord.
Would you have said that in the offseason? I don't think so. So I'm happy. So yeah, go ahead, Gary, because there's a lot there. But
no, you know what? I'm not gonna act like our teams are doing amazing right now and that I don't have some definite firepower that Devin could throw back right in my face about how the offense in Miami is terrible when Jimmy Butler isn't on the floor. So I'm just going to say this about the Lakers. I'm happy about your optimism, and I'm going to say probably the most uttered words on this podcast in the history, which is, I hope for your mental health's sake, the Lakers get better, Devin.
Listen, boys, it is too early in the season. Isaiah said it best. Although my optimism of 13 games in, that's only 13 games in. There's plenty. It's an 82-game schedule for a reason. So I'm excited to see what the next couple of games bring on the Lakers. But if we go over to the Eastern Conference, the Brooklyn Nets have some drama of their own. And I'll tell you what, even as a Lakers fan, I'm glad I'm not a Brooklyn Nets fan with all the misery that they're having between the Kyrie Irving drama, between the Ben Simmons frustration, which has come out today. And what's that? The Nets lost 153-121 to the Sacramento Kings. I just listened to the intro. I listened to Gary call Domantas Sabonis overrated, perhaps. The man put up a perfect game. Gary, talk to me about the Brooklyn Nets. What is going on this season with them?
Oh my goodness, where do I begin? If I had basically, you could have made a video game where you decided to take the worst start to any NBA season you could possibly have. Trade away all your best players. No one's playing. The offense looks awful. They're firing their head coach. Then they get linked to hiring the Boston Celtics head coach, Ime Udoka, who's now serving a suspension. Kyrie Irving goes on a rant on, he posted a link on Twitter, and all of a sudden he's suspended from NBA play by his owner. Kevin Durant is on, he went on the internet today or had an interview with somebody and started slandering people on his own team, saying, he said, let me get it right up here because it was a quote from earlier. Did you have it
right here? Yep, it says, "Look at our starting lineup: Edmund Sumner, Royce O'Neal, Joe Harris, Nick Claxton, and me. It's not disrespect, but what are you expecting from that group? You expect us to win because I'm out there."
There's throwing people under the bus, and then there's driving them to the bus station, lining them up on the loading dock, and then letting them run them over up and down every single time they pick up new passengers. What are you doing, Kevin Durant? He's not an idiot. He knows that these things are going to get tweeted about and posted about and talked about, but you're just bringing more and more confusion to a team that's already dealing with some of the weirdest openings to a season that I've seen, at least from an NBA fan. And then on top of
Gary.
All right, we're gonna let Gary back in just a second when he's ready to go. But Isaiah, in the meantime, Gary put it best. I mean, we were just talking about the Kevin Durant drama. I mean, what did you sort of make of all this? Because it seemed like the first domino was Kyrie Irving, and obviously no one's going to condone what happened in that whole entire situation without going too much into depth about it. Is this something that can still be salvaged? Because this actually dates all the way back to the offseason in which Kevin Durant wanted to request a trade. Kyrie Irving wanted to go to the Lakers, and neither ended up happening. So can this be salvaged?
It's as salvageable as it was in the offseason at this point. So they can still put things aside because as it pertains to Kyrie and Kevin Durant, I don't think there's any real problems between the two. I think it's at this point, it's more of like those two versus the organization. That's what I'm really getting at with Kevin Durant and bashing everyone. You know what they say? Honesty is the best policy. Maybe in this case, it's not because the policies of the Nets have really done them in, it seems like so far. Like I said earlier to Gary, congratulations on getting fired from that Brooklyn Nets job because good luck to any coach that has to go in here. I remember last season we were talking about the Lakers and we were talking about Doc Rivers. And I said, Dev, do you like Doc Rivers? He said, yeah, no, great coach. Then why would you want to put him in this situation? Yeah. The same goes for the Brooklyn Nets. You don't want to put anybody in this situation. But is it salvageable? Yes, there is talent there still. I still believe in Ben Simmons. I'm going to believe in him until he gives me a reason not to. I know he looks really rough right now, but I still think he can become a Draymond East in some type of way. I told you before, it's just his confidence is shot. He hasn't played in a year. It's hard to expect much from him right now. And look at the rest of the team. So just like Westbrook got all the slack last year, I'm not going to let Ben Simmons get a lot of the slack. And he's not, to be fair. Everybody's on Kyrie and, Kevin Durant apparently is on the rest of the starting rotation. Salvageable in a way where I say they could get to the 8th seed. You put Kevin Durant and Kyrie in there motivated, they have a chance. But the question is, can they get them motivated? I think Kevin Durant's at this point just trying to do everything to get out of there.
Yeah.
Then on top of
get that man back out of here. That's prisoner.
What is going on?
Yeah.
Nice freestyle.
And I'll tell you this too, because you just talked about Ben Simmons. There's actually, it's ironic that the day that we schedule both shows to happen, more news is coming out in the MLB. Obviously, check out Free Baseball starting at 9 p.m. Eastern. But more news is coming out in the NBA as well because Bleacher Report revealed that Ben Simmons, this was an actual quote that I pulled directly. According to reports, the coaching staff and the players have been concerned about the availability and level of play from Ben Simmons, with some questioning his passion for the game. Just straight passion for the game as we welcome back Gary. Gary, we're just talking about Ben Simmons here. Isaiah, much like me with Russell Westbrook not giving up hope, he's latching on to the Ben Simmons bandwagon saying it could be salvageable is the word that we're trying to use. But as I noted in a report from Bleacher Report today, the coaching staff and the players have been concerned about the availability and level of play from Ben Simmons, with some questioning his passion with the game.
Look, real quick. I know Gary wants to get in here, but I've been on the Ben Simmons like support train for a while, right? And I just got to say, duh, like wouldn't you? You go from a situation in the 76ers where it was dysfunction, and a lot of it could go on both ways. Ben Simmons gets some of the blame, and so does the 76ers. You go to the Brooklyn Nets, you sit out last season, you think you're going to get a new start with an organization. You're playing with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and you have they're welcoming you with open arms, and everybody's happy to see Ben Simmons back. He comes in, gets some struggles. Kyrie gets suspended. And then like it's just a mess again. It's like maybe worse than the situation he was with the 76ers. So how could he feel? I mean, he needs to find his love for the game, but you just put him in a bad situation and put him into a worse situation. So it's hard to just, fall in love with the game again. I mean,
yeah, bad situation. This man was on the Philadelphia 76ers. They were a title contender. They were the Eastern Conference favorites.
They were ready to raid the man's house.
Oh, man, because he didn't want to shoot a layup. He wanted to pass the ball.
Did you hear what you just said? He didn't want to shoot a layup. Okay, it was a terrible moment, but like they damn near wanted to end the man's whole career over a layup. Like just think about that for a moment.
That's fair. As we welcome back Gary. Gary, you were putting on a nice little freestyle before the audio issues. We had to boot you. You're now Nets prisoner number 400. Welcome back.
Yeah, no, they just couldn't handle what the truth that I was spitting over here. No, I'm genuinely having a little bit of a mic issue right now, but we are like actually just going to push right through that just the way that they should push through this early season struggle. They still are the Brooklyn Nets. They still have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons. I'm not ready to like completely jump ship just yet, but I was going to scream at Isaiah while he was talking about it. The Ben Simmons averages 5.8 points a game. That's your third player. Not saying he can't do it here in the future, but goodness, that's not good. Name another, it's like, unless you're talking about Dennis Rodman, which, until Benz decides to absolutely go insane on what in terms of hustle, off-court actions, he's probably got that locked up. But when it comes to actually, as a basketball player, putting in the love of the game, like Isaiah said, Ben Simmons has a long way, and he's the key to this Brooklyn Nets team unlocking that next thing, because right now they've got 6 wins, 9 losses. It's not too far out of the race in the Eastern Conference, which has been really actually pretty competitive. So yeah, I'm pretty down on this Brooklyn Nets team right now, but I'm not like throwing the towel or anything.
Yeah, and while you were off, Gary, too, I'll ask you the same question and throw it back to you. Isaiah made a really good point before where the Brooklyn Nets, this is a travesty that has been – the first domino was really all the way back in the offseason when KD was requesting a trade. Kyrie wanted to go to the Lakers. Neither happened. Both of them sort of came back, whether it was against their will or not, onto the team. Do you think that this is salvageable? Because, like you said, they're not out of the playoff race. I don't think any team is out of the playoff race because we're only 13 games in, but – if you're at this stage with everything being so fragile, Kyrie's just about to get reinstated to the team, it seems like as of an hour ago based on reports. Do you think that this is a, hey, let's sort of just start from scratch kind of moment? Or do you think this is a, hey, let's band together and just try to see where things go if or when we make the playoffs?
Well, when you have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, you almost have to go for it every single year. Mm-hmm. You can't waste an opportunity with 2 superstars like that, and their ability to win those games in the regular season is in question due to some availability concerns and maybe a little bit of like roster construction issues at the moment. We heard the quote earlier you said where Kevin Durant is satisfied with the thing out there right now. They got a new head coach. Kevin Durant is all in Jacques Vaughn. He had a quote earlier, basically.
Gary, you are on mute. Microphone is bussing.
No, I know. I'm sorry. Everybody in the organization didn't want to practice with Steve Nash and everything. And now Jacques Vaughn is the coach, and bam, look, they're actually working hard. At least that's what we hear. So, let's hope that this translates to some more wins down the line. But I'm not panicking upon the Brooklyn Nets, even though everything at the beginning of this season should give any other team that doesn't have Kevin Durant a reason to panic.
Yeah.
You know, if anything, I got to give them a little bit of credit because they had two guys requesting a trade, their top two star players, and you've seen a lot of organizations like crumble under that pressure that the star player would place on them. But they got them together, and it's just falling apart again. So they're definitely giving everything they have as an organization to make it work. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole Kyrie situation. That's a whole nother thing. But I respect the resiliency of the organization to try to make this work. And they finally let go of Steve Nash, which if that's what Kyrie and Kevin Durant wanted, I mean, unfortunately, you have to do that. Again, is that a threat or a deal? Like we're firing Steve Nash because you get him out of that situation. But they're a resilient organization. And by the way, yes, Ben Simmons can get away. He can become the Draymond East if he can just – because, look, you got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, Joe Harris, Seth Curry. You got plenty of scoring. Now, do you want him there in the last couple of minutes of a playoff game? No. But can he amp it up defensively? Can he find his footing again? Yes, I think so. Look, this is a man that once scored 40-something points when he was like the only guy on the court. He's just trying to find his role. He's trying to find his love, and he will get it.
Yeah.
Damn it. Just like I have no I don't take pleasure in the Lakers struggle. I take pleasure in the Brooklyn Nets struggling because it makes me feel really good as a Knicks fan. But I gotta call it as I see it.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, there's one good thing that is going to probably come out of this Brooklyn Nets season, and it's that Kyrie Irving, there's no way that man's going to play for the Brooklyn Nets after this season. Come on home to LA, baby. We're missing you. We're missing you. Oh, man. But, yeah, I agree. I think the Brooklyn Nets definitely going to be a playoff team. Like I said before, it's just too early to determine whether a team is going to be a playoff team or not a playoff team 13 games into the season. The Seth Curry and Joe Harris in relation to scoring is a questionable statement by Isaiah.
Playoff time, it's all that matters. Like this is, you get it together.
You can't put playoff time and Joe Harris in the same quote. After what he did in that series, absolutely tanking their chances.
Okay, just because he went on Duncan Robinson, okay, that doesn't mean.
Hey.
He could go Evan Fournier for a game.
Yeah. Listen,
Duncan Robinson, future lead 3-point shooter in Miami Heat history, by the way. Not that that's a good thing. That does say a lot about our franchise. But, we keep it moving. I'll take the Joe Harris, Duncan Robinson comparison. But if that's the comparison you want to make when you bring up offensive scoring, I don't know if that's going to be the right move.
Like I said, Kevin Durant, Kyrie, Seth Curry, get a couple 3-pointers out of them. They'll figure it out.
I'll tell you what. One guy that I'm actually impressed by is the starting center for the Brooklyn Nets. It's Nick Claxton. That's my boy over in the Dynasty Basketball League over there with Isaiah. It seems like the big men thrive when they play in Brooklyn. At one point, it was Jarrett Allen, who went on to have a great career right now with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and Nick Claxton in only 26.8 minutes per game. He's averaging 11.5 points and 8.5 rebounds per game. Those are pretty good numbers for a guy that's sharing the same floor as Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons when he plays, and so many other shooters.
Especially considering Ben Simmons is clogging up the lane when it comes to offensive baskets inside. So the ability for Nick Claxton to just kind of like do his own little thing, get those offensive rebound buckets, those like really quick dump off passes from whoever's driving in the lane. Nick Claxton, if we had an article saying underrated players that need a little bit more love, Nick Claxton would be right up on that board.
And I'm going to give him some love. Look, I don't watch every NBA game, definitely not every Nets game, but the games that I watch with Nick Claxton, I do get a sense of like, when you talk about a passion issue with Ben Simmons, Nick Claxton lacks none of that. Like he's just energetic from the get-go. He doesn't care what's going on around him, what the score is. I just see him like nose diving for every ball and nose diving for off the pick and roll to get something in. So Claxton brings passion, and it's time. I mean, I've seen it from day one from him, so I hope he continues to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we talk into some of our early season surprises here, 13 games into the season, boys, I don't know about you guys. I got 3 early season surprises, and each one is a deeper take than the next. I'm just going to start with my one, and my one is very, very mild. It's more of a layup than a deep take.
Go for it. Okay.
And it's
2-point conversion.
Yeah, just a 2-point, by prediction, I said before the season, the Chicago Bulls last season were my surprise team in the East. This season, I don't know if you guys remember, I said the Atlanta Hawks were going to be my surprise team. They've won 9 of their first 14 games, a 9-5 record, and are the number 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. Can they uphold that? I don't know, but Trae Young is balling. DeJounte Murray is balling. Clint Capella is grabbing the rebounds. I love what I'm seeing from the Atlanta Hawks. I'm just glad that my predictions so far, it's going well.
You're 100% right on the Atlanta Hawks at the beginning of the season. Didn't expect the Trae Young led team to be 6th in defensive rating this early on in the season. And a lot of that has to do with DeJounte Murray. I know that Isaiah had a couple opinions about that trade during the offseason. Were you on the same boat as Devin when it came to the Atlanta Hawks? Or I was a little skeptical, not going to lie. So seeing them at a 9-5 record, what is it? They're top 6 offense or top 6 defense in the league. Their offensive rating right now, 14th out of 30. Like to see that get up a little bit, but knowing with Trae Young, I assumed that this Hawks team, you were right on the nose with him, Dev.
Yeah, I think I recall. I wasn't so mad at the trade. I just didn't know if it was enough for them. But it looks like it might be, at least to make some type of noise in the playoffs, especially, it pains me to say. And when I say pain, I mean like a different level of NBA pain. To say that Trae Young is just ice cold in the playoffs, but in a good way. Ice Trae, right? I know firsthand. I've witnessed it. And honestly, I haven't recovered since. We've literally killed whatever hope my Knicks had at once upon a time. That said, they'll be fine. RJ Barrett's going to figure it out. Yeah, had to mention him somehow, even though things are not looking great. Even though we're 7-7. Okay, I wanted to say maybe the Knicks are my surprise team. And you know what? That's exactly what I'm going to do. Let me tell you something. Okay, 7-7. Why am I surprised? Because I really did not know how this team was going to mesh. I watched that first game. And I saw RJ Barrett look like he was on the outside of the offense. It looked at times like he was playing defense for the other team because he just wasn't doing anything. And it's not that he didn't want to. I just saw so many times where Brunson and Randall appeared to just not want to play with RJ Barrett. They did not want to pass on the ball. There was too many times where he was open. So everything was inconsistent with him, his 3-point shots and all. And guess what? We're at 500 so far. And we got a tough schedule coming up. I know this. But we're somewhere where Jalen Brunson looks good. Julius Randle seems to be rebounding, and literally and also figuratively from last season, which was a disaster, with Brunson. And I wasn't sure how this team was going to mesh. I was really concerned. I really thought we were going to be like a last place team. I'll be honest with you. And we're looking good. And I do feel like we just beat the Utah Jazz yesterday, who have been on fire.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I'm surprised with my Knicks. Now, are they the top team? I was going to go with the Denver Nuggets, but I am not surprised because I said it early on and I'm sticking to it. The Denver Nuggets will be NBA champions at this season's end.
Hey, let me ask you this, Isaiah. I mean, you were Jalen Brunson's biggest critic when it came to the offseason. Is it full circle time now? Because he's averaging a career high 19.9 points. His assist numbers are up. His 3-point shooting is down, but defensively he's averaging almost 1.5 steals a game as well.
No, because it wasn't about his talent. It was about how we brought him in. So until he lives up to that standard, I don't think I can. Or if he could find a way to get RJ Barrett a little bit more involved. Because like I said, it doesn't seem like they coexist very well. And RJ Barrett has been inconsistent because of it. And one thing, if I got to give a criticism to RJ Barrett, he gets very, very passive. If he makes, if there's a turnover, he's like, oh, don't want to do that again. So let me just sit over here. And I don't see Julius Randle or Jalen Brunson do enough to get him back into it. As well, Brunson, he just got here. I'm not going to go too hard on him. But as veteran leaders with a young developing player, you should do a lot more to get him involved. Because guess what? I had the numbers in the past. I don't have any notes with me. But when RJ Barrett is at his best defensively and when he contributes offensively, our record is really nice. So I think he's a key. And Brunson, nothing against him. But, yeah, he has a lot of work to do. If he gets us into the first round, or you know what, just make an all-star game. I'll set the bar pretty low.
That's low?
Low, considering how the Knicks brought him in with the red carpet, hiring his father like he was Kevin Durant.
Yeah,
that's the least I can ask.
Gary, as always, RJ Barrett eating up the airtime on this show.
Listen, if I had a nickel for every time Isaiah mentioned RJ Barrett, I might be able to buy Twitter. So who knows? we could get there one day. But
we could all become verified.
Speaking of teams that have just sold everything, my surprising team, look at that. I'm a professional. We got these segues. We got these transitions going clean. I'm going to go with the Utah Jazz, who wildly surpassing everyone's expectations is 10-6 right now. Trading away both Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert in the offseason, and then all of a sudden coming out, lighting the league on fire. Now they have been in a little bit of a slump as of late, like in the last couple of games, but 10-6, nothing to what is the turn of phrase? Nothing to stick up your nose at, because this team has really come around. Lauri Markkanen and the great coaching of Will Hardy. I don't see them, keeping this. They're third in the West right now, but for when it comes to early season surprises, it's got to be the Utah Jazz for me. Did you guys expect them? We all were on the Wembanyama tank watch for them, and all of a sudden they come out here and they were number one in the West for the first couple of weeks.
Yeah,
crazy to me that this happens every single year where we see these teams and we're like, oh, they got a couple of good guys. They've got a good amount of depth on their roster. They don't have superstars, but if you guys, when you guys look at them and see, oh, they're passing right, they're making the right reads. They got that Greg Popovich 2014 Spurs style offense going there. And when that all works and it works well, this team wins. Your Knicks did beat them last night, so good for you. Good job. But at the same time, I didn't expect, you told me they were 6-10. I would have thought that was too high of a win total. So the fact that they flipped that and they're now 10-6, good for the Utah Jazz. Proven Will Hardy is actually a good coach and will stay around in this league. And I'm just excited to see Lauri Markkanen put up buckets.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point, too. Utah Jazz are probably the last team that I thought everyone was so high on the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we completely forgot about the Utah Jazz once Donovan Mitchell was shipped out, Rudy Gobert was shipped out. I thought they were tanking. We were just talking about this, and all of a sudden we're talking number 3 team in the Western Conference. That's a great take right there. I have two more. This one is, my foot's on the line, but, it could be a 3-pointer depending on the ref on this day. And it's not even a certain team. It's actually just a stat when I was going through. This season, there's 8 players in the NBA averaging 30 or more points a game, 13 games into the season. That's a really high number. 30 points in a single game is already complicated enough. But to maintain that consistency, last season, there was only 2 players that finished with more than 30 points a game. This season, here's the 8 players in order as well when it comes to most to least. Luka Doncic, 34.4. Joel Embiid, 32.3. Jason Tatum, 31.9. Donovan Mitchell, 31.6. SGA for Oklahoma City is 31.5. Steph Curry, also 31.5. Giannis with 31.3. Kevin Durant with 30.3. And then after that, John Morant, Trae Young, and Devin Booker, all 26 points or more per game. I think, and this is just my deep take, last season we saw 2 players finish with 30 or more points a game per game in a single season. This season, I think we're getting 4 players to finish. I think Luka is going to maintain that consistency. I think Donovan Mitchell is definitely going to maintain that consistency. I think Steph Curry is going to maintain the consistency. And if you're telling me only one of Joel Embiid, Jason Tatum, SGA, or Giannis or KD have to average more than 30 points a game, I'm taking the over on 3.5 all day.
Is it crazy to think that, like, when you started mentioning all those names, I was like, if they all average 30, it wouldn't freak me out.
Oh, no. I mean, any of them could. I mean, I think Luka's the most conservative. Luka's averaging almost 35 points a game. I mean, we knew he was going to be the NBA MVP frontrunner, but 34.4, that's Michael Jordan-esque type numbers.
Michael Jordan-esque. Kind of like Giannis, who you also put in that conversation.
Yeah.
Giannis Antetokounmpo. Pete, you know, like our intro says, Isaiah Hansen, you have to let me know right now. Is Giannis living up to your expectations with this? Because one of my hot takes had to do with Giannis Antetokounmpo here. Is he cemented himself? Maybe not as the hottest take. Is it like clear as day, like it is to me, that he is the best player in the NBA? Or
Yes.
is it Luka Doncic?
Yes, stamp of approval, 1000%. What else can? By the way, real quick, I want to shout out to my bro. Thank you for coming into the stream, showing some love. Anyway, listen, what does Giannis need to do? Like I said before, the only thing he doesn't do is shoot a consistent 3-point shot. And if he did that, God help us all, because he's gonna get you defensively, he's gonna get you offensively. Should I just replay the intro and hear my take? Because it's the same argument every time. He can do it all except shoot a consistent 3. That's it. And by the way, he could knock him down. He's not Ben Simmons or Draymond Green out there. Hell, he's not Russell Westbrook out there. He could shoot a little bit. Okay. So definitely the best player in the league. Now, and did you say Doncic? I think Joker maybe has a better chance. Doncic's probably third, but I'm not trying to throw too much shade. He's a great player, obviously. I think he will be the best player in the league someday. But it's definitely Giannis. I mean, how can you say who? Like, you pick a name, and I will destroy that argument because he does everything.
Devin, would you like to rebuttal? You seem to be a little disagreeable at the moment.
The best player in the NBA. This man, oh man, Isaiah, you're telling me the best player in the NBA is shooting 24.2% from beyond the arc. 24.2. That's nowhere near the rest of those players. Nowhere near the rest of them. And not just the 3-point shot, at the free throw line as well. You're telling me this man is shooting 64.3% from the free throw line? It's a free throw, Isaiah. They do 100 of them at practice. So I'll tell you who my favorite player in the NBA is, and the best player, in my opinion, isn't even Luka Doncic, and it's not even Giannis. It's Kevin Durant is the best player in the NBA because he's lengthy enough to where he can pretty much body anybody defensively, a menace. He can hit the 3-point shot, and he's just a stone cold killer. He is one of the best 15 players in NBA history. We talked about this in the offseason, and I'm pretty sure when it's all said and done, we're going to be talking about him as a top 10 player, yes, ahead of Steph Fraud Curry.
What?
Yep.
Fraud? What?
Yep.
Wait a second.
Yep.
Fraud Curry? No, we're not going to take any Curry slander.
Yep.
Hang on.
So much new material for more intros. We love it.
Yeah. You got right now. You got
Fraud Curry
questioning whether or not Curry would be top 10. And and I believe he said he could be.
I think we agreed, or didn't agree, but I pretty much said I think he's my number 12 all time.
Oh, no, yeah, we definitely didn't agree because
before
he won the NBA Finals, I was talking about him being already top 10.
Yeah, you guys wanted to write off like Bill Russell and Will Chamberlain and all these players. You guys probably wanted to write off Michael Jordan at one point in time too.
Listen, I might have felt disrespectful with knocking like Bill Russell off the list or somebody like that because of I respect my elders, but Devin, what you just said about Steph Curry, I'll get into that later. But Kevin Durant right now in 2022? Are you sure? Are we looking at the same stats here? Because so how much better? I mean, I know Kevin Durant is a better offensive player than Giannis. We agree. But how much better would you say?
Oh man.
It's not a big difference.
Listen.
So, they're going to put up similar numbers,
close.
but how much better is Kevin Durant? I mean, I'm sorry, is Giannis defensively than Kevin Durant?
Oh, Giannis is by far the more superior when you have the defensive players. Listen, it's a well-rounded game. If you're telling me I got to start my franchise with one player and I get to start with either Giannis or Kevin Durant, give me Kevin Durant every single day, twice on Sundays.
Look at the Brooklyn Nets situation right now. He can't get you out. Giannis has not really had a super team. He's made the team the super team. He's so much better defensively. And Kevin Durant is better offensively, but the gap is not as big as the defensive gap, Dev. Giannis is clearly number one. Good. Gary, please.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out how to transition into what I think might be the hottest take that I have But you've got. I'm just trying to tease it here because I want to finish up with your Giannis debate here because I'm all in on Giannis as my selection because Isaiah hits it right on the head. It's defense, and it's all about defense. All of these NBA teams, what they want at the end of the year is a top 10 defense because statistically, look throughout the league, no team wins the NBA title without having a top 10 defense. It doesn't happen. It's so important. And maybe you can say, oh, the Cleveland Cavaliers with LeBron James, they tanked during the regular season, yada, yada, yada. Fine, sure. But this Kevin Durant team, does it have shades of that LeBron? Sure, but I just don't believe in Kevin Durant the same way that he can carry a team that LeBron could. I just don't see it. I'm going Giannis is the best player in the NBA, and I will not have this Steph Curry slander, which is why I used my God mode settings as a semi-host of this podcast to change your name, Mr. Devin Withers, the number one Steph fan. So you mess with the bull, you get the DeMar DeRozan mid-range shot, and I'm draining that 53% of the time.
Yeah, and boys, I have one more. And this is a half-court shot, a half-court deep take. And if you didn't like my last one, you're not going to like this one. I'm going to give you two players, and I'm just going to say their stat lines to start this season. And I'm going to say one is a better asset to their team than the other. They're both teammates. Player A is averaging 14.7 points per game. He has 3.4 rebounds per game and 2.5 assists per game. Okay?
Okay.
Player B has 17.1 points per game, 1.8 rebounds per game, and 4.3 assists per game. So once again, about a 14-3-2 slash for player A, a 17-2-4 slash for player B. Which one would you say is the more efficient player? Both identical pretty much. It's within 2 points of each other when it comes to three-pointers made per game, three-point percentage as well. So they're identically the same three-point shooter as well.
I'm gonna go with the guy that's averaging 17 and 4. Okay. That's just me though. I don't know defense. I'm not. But yeah, I'm going with the higher numbers here.
Okay, Isaiah.
Yeah. I mean, if I want to be technical, I would be like, is he like the starting player, or is he like a six man? But yeah, I would go with player.
It's interesting. It's interesting, right? Because the one with 14 as their average points per game is a starter, and the one with 17.1 is the sixth man. As I mentioned before, 17.1 points is Jordan Poole, and 14.7 is Klay Thompson. Boys, my take from 3, Jordan Poole is a better asset to the Golden State Warriors than Klay Thompson is. Book it.
Wow.
I'm not mad at that. You're not mad at that? No, because I do disagree. Like with the numbers are a little bit obscure. Look, Klay Thompson is playing a role right now. Okay, he is now a role player as of right now. I don't know if Jordan Poole can just go ahead and play his role. If he's one of the main focuses of the offense, yeah, he's going to put up better numbers. Is he a better asset long-term for the Warriors? Duh, obviously, 1,000%. Do I trust Jordan Poole in a must-win situation over Klay Thompson? Absolutely. But it's not like you said it, Dev. It's not like you said it, okay? Yeah, he's starting some stuff. Yeah, we got to finish it on 2K. Did I just put that up? I did, right? So, I agree, but it's like chill on Klay Thompson, please. Go, Gary.
I mean,
no, I'm not hating on it. I as of right now, Klay Thompson has been a little bit underwhelming. Athleticism declining due to the injuries. He's getting up there in age. He's still a splash brother. He still is so incredible on both ends of the court. Jordan Poole I think he is last on the team in plus minus, which at this rate, I've not named James Wiseman, of course, who I'm actually like a huge. I feel really bad for James Wiseman at the moment, just because circumstances, predicaments, everything that's going on with him, G League time. I hope to see him back in the league here soon. Number 2 overall pick. I just think how different this team would be if instead of getting James Wiseman, they got LaMelo Ball, or someone like that. But I digress. I think that the whole the Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson situation, it doesn't matter because they're going to need them both when it comes time.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need as many people to handle the ball that's not named Steph Curry during the season to keep that top 5, top 3 player in the NBA, his legs healthy so they can make another title run. These are my guys that are going to win the NBA Finals this year. Who cares if Draymond Green punched Jordan Poole in the face? We're going to the tip. And by we, I mean the Golden State Warriors. I'm a Heat fan. But I got to live with my predictions. Might have money on it, too.
I got to ask you a question, Dev.
Mm-hmm.
You're not arguing that you changed their roles, right? You still want Jordan Poole as the 6th man leading the second, right? Like you're not saying that, are you?
I'm just saying if I were the Golden State Warriors, if I were the Golden State Warriors, I'd be calling for some immediate injury management time for Klay Thompson to get Jordan Poole some more minutes in the starting lineup. That's all I'm saying.
Oh.
I think he's just trying to coerce Klay Thompson to the Lakers. That's what's happening right now.
It's very possible. It's very possible. Listen, I mean, we're talking about Klay Thompson like a Splash brother. He's 32 years old. He might be more like the Splash grandfather at this point, if you ask me.
Oh, stop.
I'm just saying.
Didn't you pick them to win the finals?
I'm just saying. And listen, Jordan Poole, they put their money where their mouth is. Jordan Poole is the future of this franchise. They gave him that 4-year extension. So they're putting their money where their mouth is. I think Klay Thompson is going to continue to regress. Obviously, we expected him 100% back from injury. I think he is more of a role player than he is a star player at this point. But I mean, Hall of Famer, I'm just waiting for the farewell tour. That's all.
Top 75 player too, Dev.
I'll give you that. Top 75 player. I will give you top 75. I mean, not top 50, but I'll give you top 75.
Okay.
4 rings. Can't say no to that.
You can't say no to that. That's right. I mean, JaVale McGee probably has a similar amount, but
okay, I'm not over here waiting. Ring waiting is not a thing that I want to get into. As a McGee fan, I'm not going to over here and talk about ring weights.
Well, listen, guys. As always, I love doing this show. I love doing these every single week. Hopefully, we find a time, maybe around the same time next week, to get back together for another episode of T from 3. If you're tuning in now, make sure you're tuned in on the same exact page where you're watching us now, 9 p.m. Eastern. Jake and Davis are going to be going over the latest in the MLB now that we finally hit the offseason. Be sure to check them out. Be sure to check out all of our content at theathleteshub.org, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
Shout out Scopey.